Welcome to the Empowered Mom Hour, where I go deep into everything that you need to know as a truly empowered mom in the ways of holistic, natural health and pregnancy and birth and positive birth stories and anything else that I feel is going to enhance your empowered mom journey. And today's special guest is Terri Rahman. She is a gut health coach. She's also had a background as a social worker for families. And she's just one of the most amazing people. She's one of my best friends. I love her to pieces. She's in the Empowered Mom Circle. So if you ever want to reach out to her and you forget where to contact her, you can also just reach out hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com and I will get you connected with her. So, Terri, I love you so much. Thank you for taking the time out of your very, very busy schedule of networking and building your business and doing your gut health challenges to come in here to speak. I appreciate it. And I would just love it if you could tell those who are watching what you do, how you got started, and what you do, your background, and anything else you think that they need to know about you before we get into what you're going to teach today.
Sounds great. Well, first of all, thanks for that warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here to talk with you, Carly. As you know, you're one of my favorite Empower moms as well. We've been on this journey together for some time, so I really appreciate, you taking the time to interview me today too. So, as far as who I am, like you said, I had been doing social work for over 25 years before I realized that myself, I was getting sick. Okay. But I didn't really notice that I was getting sick. Okay. Which happens to a lot of people. Because it's like that frog in the boiling water. When things are getting hot, you don't realize it until you're just about cooked. So that was like me. As I was working, we had a big shift in our the way we did our case management. I was working as a social worker for people with developmental disabilities, mental health challenges, the elderly, and also I had done a lot of parent education instruction. So, but the last several years of my job was working where I was as a case manager, and the caseload just got so high when I shifted from county government to a more private company. And I didn't expect the shift to be so much. But what it did is I got so invested in wanting to do the job so well that I just embraced it. I pretty much married it. And then I realized that I was having gut health issues, but I didn't really understand that they were actually gut health issues. I was having symptoms of chronic anxiety. I was chronically fatigued. I was having bloating and flatulence. And I just I just was kind of a mess and actually started to have anaphylactic like shocks where I was up at night and I was like having to rely on Benadryl because I was having these reactions that I didn't know what was going on. So from that experience, I decided to make an appointment with my medical doctor. And that was what made me change from social worker to health coaching. Because what happened during that particular visit, I was told that I had an underactive thyroid, and then I would have to take medication for the rest of my life in order to resolve this issue. And that didn't set right with me. And one of the biggest reasons it didn't set right is because when I was 18, my mother, she died actually unexpectedly from being overly medicated for depression. And I knew that medication was not the route that I personally wanted to go down. So the doctor said, okay, well, if you don't want to take medication, I will refer you to an allergist and see what that, can lead to. So I did that. And same kind of thing, same kind of like, well, you don't have any allergies at all. You're not allergic to anything that we can find. So, okay, do research. So I started doing the research on this. Like, how am I going to reverse my underactive thyroid? How am I going to get rid of these anaphylactic-like reactions? And then I discovered the world of natural health. And I hooked myself up with a healthcare practitioner who is into natural health. And then I learned from that experience that I had 28 food sensitivities. And yeah, 28 of them. And I was like, wait a minute. I eat healthy. I work out every day. What is going on? Why do I have all these food sensitivities? Well, the reason is because you have you can get those from a stressed gut. And that's where I was holding all of my stress from my job was in my gut. But also you can get a stress gut and all these food sensitivities from birth control medication. Hmm.
Wait,
Yes.
what?
Yeah. Birth control. Medication. It creates the gut lining to deteriorate. Okay. Yes. So people who are on birth control are more at risk for having food sensitivities because what it does, it destroys the gut lining. Okay. So over time, it will make your gut lining is only one cell thick. So it's very sensitive to toxins and traumas and thoughts. Okay. And when we are exposed into an environment where we're repeatedly having these toxins into our body, it creates this, what they call a leaky gut. Okay. And this leaky gut is going to create inflammation throughout your whole body. Okay. So when that leaky gut creates inflammation through your whole body, you kind of swell up, you gain weight. It's very difficult for people to lose weight too, because it's like all their cells are just swelling up. And this chronic inflammation is supposed to heal your body, but when it becomes chronic, it acts like rust on your body. So it basically deteriorates your whole body, because, and that's why I'm so passionate now about focusing on helping people heal their gut, because this is one of the root causes that gets into all kinds of conditions that people do not realize. They don't realize that their arthritis is because of this. They don't realize that their brain fog is because of this. They don't realize that their anxiety is because of these issues that are underlying. Okay. And I had to go through that the hard way. And I don't want to see people going through the hard way. So my focus now is to help people understand that there's this huge connection between the health of your gut and the health of you.
This is incredible, Terri. I mean, when we had an interview, like I had an interview with someone in my circle a while back. Her name is Laura. And she had mentioned when we were going over the things that are sneaky about sabotaging fertility and how to increase fertility for moms, especially over 35, she had very briefly mentioned that leaky gut could contribute to fertility issues. And now you're telling me that the birth control pills that we all took when we were in our 20s, like we were told that this was going to help us, that was going to regulate our menstrual cycles, that it was going to solve all of our cramps and our PMS, which, I mean, I've now discovered that our menstrual cycle is an indicator of our health. and I've worked through where I'm not on birth control pills. And I have the best cycle ever where I used to have all those pains. You're telling me that these birth control pills that some moms have been on for years, decades before they decide to have a baby, has contributed to leaky gut, which then is also affecting their ability to get pregnant. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do we solve this? How do we reverse this? Do you have some ideas on what moms could do for fertility or if they're already pregnant or
Yeah.
planning to get pregnant again?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I talk about 8 pillars for optimal health, which you can actually say 8 pillars for optimal pregnancy health too. Okay. So even before you decide you're going to have a child, you want to think about this at least 6 months prior to getting pregnant. Okay. That would be the ideal time because when you're doing this, when you're following these 8 key things, you're going to put your body in the most optimal health possible so that you can have a baby that is going to also be in the most optimal health, right? So and the husband too, or the significant other too, he has a responsibility here too, because the health of his sperm is also extremely important. When it's not just the woman's ovaries, but it's the health of his sperm too. So what are we going to do? Okay, so the basic things you're going to want to do, and I'll run these, through fairly quickly. But number one thing you're going to want to do is focus in on limiting your toxins in your environment. Okay, so how do you do that? Number one is you're going to make sure you're going to hydrate sufficiently. We've all heard this, drink your water, drink your water, drink your water, right? Yes, but I can't stress it enough because that's what helps to eliminate toxins from your body too. So the more you're drinking, the more you're eliminating, right? But also hydrate properly with salt, a quality salt, and also trace mineral drops for the electrolytes. Okay, so that your hydration actually gets into your cells. A lot of people do not hydrate properly, and because of that, they're just eliminating, they're just peeing all day. And it's like, no, your body needs the salt also. Okay. And that contributes to your health of your cells, right? So if you're thinking about getting pregnant, you're going to want to always make sure that you are drinking enough plain water. And I was one of those people who did not like to drink plain water. So I had to use other ways of getting liquid in me that was still supportive of gut health. So what I did is I'll just take some lemon juice and put it in my water, okay? Or I'll take some herbal tea because that will count too. But you don't want things like coffee because that'll actually dehydrate you, right? And also the caffeine in coffee will compromise your gut lining. So you have to be careful with the amount of caffeine you're drinking. So, all right, so hydrating sufficiently, number one. Number two is only eat real whole food because the sugary, refined products are causing a leaky gut too because they're a toxin to the body. Your body does not recognize refined sugar as a food, it recognizes it as a toxin. So it's going to create inflammation in your body, contribute to leaky gut, right? And the cycle will just keep continuing. So focus on eating only real whole food. And by real whole food, I mean fruits, vegetables, your meats, your nuts, your seeds, your healthy fats, things like that. So Dr. Hyman always says, if it's a plant, eat it. If it was made in one, don't. So pretty easy, right? To think of eating real whole food. Your leafy greens have the most magnesium in them, as well as like pumpkin seeds. And magnesium is really critical to help you manage your stress levels too. And in your body, you're trying to grow a baby, it's putting a lot of stress on yourself. You want to make sure you're getting sufficient magnesium. So finding foods that are high in magnesium, very helpful. Making sure you're getting only organic proteins in your body. Anything that is not organic, I mean, even organic has some, inflammatory things in them too. So you're going to just want to reduce the toxin potential to come into the body. So what you're going to do is just focus. That's why you want to eat so clean, because you don't want to have to put that extra stress on your body that creates the leaky gut. Okay? Because all that extra stress, now think of that. If you're putting toxins into your body has to work extra hard now to get them to be removed from the body. So when you don't put them in, your body doesn't have to work that hard, right? So it's pretty self-explanatory that way. Third thing is to take care of your microbiome. Okay. So for example, I have apple cider vinegar here. Okay. This is a great probiotic for the gut. And another thing that helps the gut lining is aloe vera juice. I don't know if you can see that.
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, very helpful for your gut lining. Okay. And bone broth, organic bone broth. Now they have, this one is chicken. They do have vegetable bone broth. The bone broth, the collagen in for example, the skin and the bones, that is really helpful for repairing the gut lining. Okay. Another thing that can be helpful too is MCT oil, which is your coconut oil. It's medium chain triglycerides. Okay. So those are just a few things that you want to concentrate on when you're taking care of your microbiome. Your microbiome is so much more than your whole body's genes. You have like 20,000 genes in your body, but you have 2 to 20 million microbial genes. Okay, so the bacteria in your gut are actually what's causing you to have your energy. So if we're putting subpar food into the body, you're going to feel subpar. And it's really important to understand too that a woman's microbiome is passed on to her child's microbiome too. So that is a really important thing, I think, for your listeners to understand. So when they're eating, they want to think about they're feeding their child too exactly what they're eating. So let's try to make that baby have the best resistance to colds and have the strongest immune system it possibly can by taking care of that microbiome. Okay, so what I recommend for people is to go for 30 to 50 different plant-based foods every week. And people say, oh, maybe that's too difficult. I always say choose your hard. It's hard to have a sick child too. Right? So when you're thinking about your 30 to 50 plant-based foods, actually, I do 50 in a day, not hard at all. And I'll tell you a few secrets that I do. I make a salad, and in that salad, I have just not, like when I buy my salad, it's spring mix. So it's got 15 different types of greens right there. That's 15.
Wait, really? I
Really?
get spring mix. That's the salad I get. So it's already got my 15 in it.
I already have 15. You already have a variety of 15 different. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then you just put some celery or some carrots in there, some maybe apple, cucumber, peppers, cut those up, Onion, if you like, whatever you like in your salad, with a little olive oil and a little sea salt. And it can taste really, and if you want, you can make healthy dressings on your own too. A lot of people think that you have to go buy these expensive dressings. No, please do not. Most of them are filled with toxic ingredients. It's hard to find good ones, and the ones that are good are usually quite expensive. So make your own. And that's another thing that I encourage people to just make your own. It just requires, like, one of my favorite dressings is apple cider vinegar, olive oil, salt, and some fresh strawberries. And I blend it up, and you can put it right on your salad. So good.
That does sound good.
But
See,
there's,
you're always getting me to eat healthier, Terri, and you snuck it all in there, even though I was resistant.
yeah, exactly. And another product that I love is this product called Joey, which is a mushroom alternative coffee. So there's no coffee in there. And if you're pregnant, you don't want to drink coffee, right? Because of the caffeine and the harm that it can do to the gut lining. So this particular, I mean, there's multiple different kinds, but I tend to like this particular brand with Joey. It has 10 different plant-based organisms right in there. So you've got I think there's like 6 different types of mushrooms in there. And then you got your ashwagandha in there. You got a little cacao, you got a little chicory root, and a little cinnamon. You can put a splash of vanilla. Look how many you've already got. Now 10 more different, variety of microorganisms from all those plant-based foods. And it's so easy to do this. So now I've got 25, already 25 in one, and just one salad and in my mushroom coffee. So it's not hard. It's not hard. And if you want an easy thing to do, um, like your kids, maybe they like spaghetti, right? Okay, great. Get the marinara sauce without the sugar. Put in as many vegetables as you can. You got your onion, your garlic, maybe some mushrooms, maybe some peppers, maybe some greens, some spinach. Put that in there. And you can use also, if you want, chickpeas. Put that in there. Um, and if you don't want the chickpeas, there's also like chickpea protein or red lentil based protein noodles, the pasta you can use for extra protein, and it's not as like bad as like getting the flour from the wheat and the gluten, because again, you don't want to create inflammation in the body, and those are big triggers for inflammation. Okay, so the next thing is to number 4, make sleep a priority. So many of us do not go to bed at the same time every night. We do not wake up at the same time every morning. And what happens is that affects your microbiome and also your energy levels, right? And when you're not getting enough sleep, it doesn't allow your body to actually do its healing at night. So when your body has this big job of trying to get rid of all the toxins that you're putting into it and process everything that you've exposed your body to throughout the day, and you're not then getting enough sleep, and you're not then eating well, now it's another like cut to your health. Like it's going to even wear you down even further and cause more chronic fatigue, right? So that's a big one. 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. And sometimes it's really difficult toward the end of pregnancy, I know, to get that sleep too, right? So taking naps. I'm a big proponent. If you got it, take naps, take naps, take naps, because you need that sleep. Your body's like telling you like right away, like, hey, I need some more time for you to rest, right? So honoring that as much as you can, which means a lot of times that you're going to have to ask for help. And a lot of people think of asking for help as a weakness. And there I want people to really understand that asking for help is not a weakness. It's actually a strength, because you're caring enough about you and your family to ask for the help that's really, truly needed. So that is a big one. So getting sleep, making that a priority. Then the 5th one, Managing your stress is super important because when you are stressed, your baby's stressed, right? And what contributes to stress too is the foods that you're putting into your body and all of your relationships. So the next one is managing your relationships, okay? Because looking at those relationships, which relationships cause you joy and which relationships cause you to have difficulties with your emotions and things like that. So take a look at them, assess all the relationships in your life, go through them and say, okay, yep, I need to, spend less time with this person or this person or this person, but I should increase my time with this person, or this person. Find as much as you can, evaluate that. It's okay to let relationships that don't serve you go or spend at least minimal time with those ones, right? So that's a big one. So always surrounding yourself with as much positive relationships as you can is really key. Okay. Then the next one is to move your body sufficiently. Okay. So, you know, I don't like to use the word exercise because that sounds like something I have to do. And I don't like, no, it's just really moving your body at least for 30 minutes a day. This could be just things like walking, just walking fast to get your heart rate up a little bit. It could be doing like physical activities like vacuuming, washing the floor, whatever. But get your body moving. That's the main thing, just not sitting around because the body's movement is going to help get those nutrients, through your blood, through all parts of your body, right? So super important. And then the last thing is to supplement wisely. That would be my eighth pillar for health. And supplements, it's important for your viewers to know that 90% of the supplements are not effective on the market right now. They're just not. And so you have to be wise when you're supplementing. And you want to some main ones to consider here would be, of course, your a great multivitamin, okay, omega 3s from your fish oil, a good probiotic, and I would say magnesium and vitamin D3 with K2 in it. Those would be some basics, okay? Because magnesium is your body, when it's under stress, is going through magnesium like crazy, and it needs extra magnesium. So a lot of us don't think about magnesium as supplementing. They're like, oh, I'm eating my greens enough. I even take extra magnesium, even though I eat, probably several cups of greens every day. But it's so important because it's responsible for like 300 different biochemical reactions in the body. There's just so many different things that it does, but it will also help you sleep and it will also help you relax. So I'm a big proponent of that particular one. And vitamin D3 and K2 together, so important for immunity, so important. Most of us who live north of the equator are not getting sufficient sunlight. Even if we were naked outside 24/7, our body would not create the melatonin that it needs. It won't. It just won't. It just won't create that vitamin D hormone. So we have to be really super conscious of that one. And it's fat soluble. So you always have to take your vitamin D, through with fat. So, all right. So that's pretty much the basics, but a lot of people, what they don't understand is a lot of the hidden sugars, right? So if they're eating things like a wrap, they think, well, that has no sugar in it, right? And actually, any carb turns to sugar in the body. Oatmeal turns to sugar in the body. All these things turn to sugar in the body. So what I really strive for when I think of sugar, and I think of sugar,
Right now. You're breaking my heart, Terry. I use wraps and I have oatmeal. Oh my gosh.
I know what you mean. I used to think those were healthy too. And now if I want a wrap, I just make my own. And it's so easy to do that with egg and spinach and water, and you just blend it up and put it in the pan and make your own. But yeah, it's these things that people don't think about. And rice, for example, is another thing. And guess what? All those things that are high in carbs and blood and sugar, they will elevate your blood sugar, which can lead to gestational diabetes.
Ah,
Right.
and
So,
we've been told to oatmeal's healthy and wraps are healthy and it's like it's better than bread. And you're now saying that it elevates the blood sugar.
yeah. Now, if you want to get around it a little bit, what I would say for this is a really good hack to do is if you're going to eat something like that, that is higher in sugar and carbs, what you want to do is eat some vegetables or some fat first, because you can actually lower the blood sugar effect by 40%. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So, for example, let's say, like you want to have that oatmeal because it's nice and easy. Well, have a piece of cheese first, something like that, or some nuts, something with fat and fiber in it, and you're going to slow the effect of that blood sugar spike. Okay. And what I recommend for people to now is far as the pregnancy goes and the carbs, I'm not sure, but as a general rule of thumb, I say for women, you're not supposed to have more than like 24 grams of sugar in a day, okay, which is like no more than 6 teaspoons, okay? And most of us are eating between 18 to 22 teaspoons sugar every day. Teaspoons, which is there is 4 grams in a 1 teaspoon of sugar. So when you're looking at a label and you're trying to determine like if you should eat that or not, I would look at the carbs, total carbs, minus the dietary fiber from that, and then you're going to divide that number by 4 to determine the teaspoons. Because the food industry is kind of sneaky that way, puts everything in grams, and you don't know how many teaspoons. But for a woman, you're supposed for ideal health, no more than 6 teaspoons of sugar. So 6 times 4 is 24 grams, right? And everything that's carbs turns into sugar. So it's really, people do not understand that. That's why if you eat real food and have all that fiber with it, you don't really have to worry about counting. It just kind of works itself out. So it's so much easier to eat real whole food than it is to like look at labels and do all that. Like, yeah, so that's what I focus in on is just eating real whole food because if you just do that, everything will fall into place. So
Mm.
your hormones will get balanced, your cortisol level can drop. I mean, everything kind of the body just kind of balances itself out.
This is incredible. So I want to just backtrack though, because you mentioned about eating a piece of cheese before having something that's like a wrap or oatmeal. What
Sure.
about a glass of milk? Does that count?
It can. The thing with milk is, first of all, if you're gonna drink milk, I would only recommend you drink it from organic cows because the thing is, you want the full fat milk, and toxins are stored in fat. Okay.
Mm.
So that's why it's really important to drink organic. And the best type of milk I have been exposed to is actually goat and sheep milk versus cow milk. Because a lot of people cannot tolerate cow dairy, but they can tolerate goat. In fact, the pediatricians in the know to tell their moms to offer goat milk to their children versus cow milk. And we just have to remember this. This is a really important point. Milk was intended for baby cows, not for humans, really, right? We have gotten creative and decided to use milk in so many different ways and make so many different things, right? But really, milk is meant for a baby cow. And
Ah.
if you want more information on that, Dr. William Davis is a great doctor. He wrote the book. Oh, shoot, where is it? The Wheat Belly book. One of my favorite books. And he talks, we don't have seven stomachs like a cow. We do not. So anyway, I think it's like 70% of the population is lactose intolerant. I mean, and that contributes to all kinds of inflammation in the body too. So yeah, so milk is one of those things that I would never get skim. I used to drink skim milk all the time. And I would never buy that anymore because it's the sugar content will be just so high. So yeah, and it's processed. It's more heavily processed than whole milk. So the more processed, the worse. So there's your answer on milk. It's not a great, fun answer, but
Well, it will force my children to drink more water because if I stop buying all the milk all the time, then they're going to have nothing but water.
And the other thing, and that's great too. The only thing you remember with broccoli is higher actually in calcium than milk. So if you can get your kids to enjoy broccoli and other foods that have high calcium in them, other than milk, that would be very helpful, right? So yeah, but just yeah, that's a good point to get your kids to. I mean, it's not a necessity. We grew up with the thought that milk is a necessity. I know I grew up with that, and it's just totally one of those myths. But
Well, it was in the food pyramid, Terry. I mean, we can't really blame ourselves for seeing what was in the food pyramid. Same with the grains.
oh, absolutely. And now they've thrown away the food pyramid, have gone to my food plate, and they've replaced now, I noticed, the milk with water. So yeah, things are improving. They're not 100% yet, but it's looking much better, than
Mhm.
what I had. Because I think it was like 6 to 11 servings of grains every day on the food pyramid, which is just a recipe for diabetes and cardiac issues. Yeah.
Oh, you tell me this now. It was.
I
It's like
know.
6 to 12 is what's on our food pyramid. I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Like it just the rabbit hole, you just go down like I mean, you know more about this stuff than I could possibly pick your brain at. And this is just incredible, Terry. But we do have to wrap up. And thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to touch on before we get to the end of this interview?
Just to, I guess, if let's see, as far as if you need some help with anything, I guess the other thing is I do a sugar-free challenge. I'm doing another one in January, and I tend to do those on the 30 when all the months have 31 in them. As when I've been doing the sugar-free challenges. And that's a really great way to help you get off refined sugar. Doing it with a group of people or finding accountability buddy to do a sugar-free challenge with and to get rid of the refined sugars and carbs out of your body. Because it's not an easy thing when we have cravings. And I help people understand why they have the cravings, how to reduce those cravings, etc. So that's one of the things I guess I would just encourage your listeners to do is that one thing to give that up because it's not helping their gut.
And like I just have to say to any empowered mom watching, when I brought Terry into my empowered mom circle, we were running a little mastermind together, just a group of us as friends trying to build our businesses. And I was facilitating this. Terry really kicked my butt when it came to healthy eating. and she kept pointing out what had sugar in it, and she kept pointing out how important gut health is. And I can just say I do have a lot more energy ever since I started getting salads instead of eating all of the carbs, and I've been more mindful about drinking water. I mean, she is such a good bad influence on me in that sense, because it's like it's good because it's healthy, and it's also a bad influence. It's like you're making me change everything. And I know it's like we have a joke in our community. It's like, well, what would Terri say if I ate this? And it's like, yeah, but Terri is also, she's got that loving mom energy, and she's never made me feel bad for eating the stuff that wasn't really optimal. She just kind of points out, it's like, you really need foods that love you back. And I mean,
Mm.
Terri, I had to highlight that, is that that's really the essence of even the sugar-free challenge that she does, is you have to eat foods that love you back. And in pregnancy, you're eating smaller meals. So it's going to be easier for you to get the plant-based foods in there, because you're not going to want to eat a big, huge plate of food. I mean, you could, but then the baby is going to make you wish you hadn't, especially as you get bigger. And also, if you're trying to conceive, now you know about the birth control pills. So if you've been on those, give yourself some time. Before you think that you're completely infertile, give yourself some time. Go check out the other interview I did with Laura Indigo, because she goes into the things that you need to do to increase your fertility. But like tying it in with what Terri has said, I'm confident that we could really turn things around in terms of fertility and secondary infertility and just all of the problems we have. Gestational diabetes sounds like Terri, you've really gone down a rabbit hole. And I mean, if my mom was watching this right now, she'd freaking love you for what you're teaching. And, I think I might even give her a little nudge and say, hey, go check out the sugar-free challenge. You'll love Terri. But Terri, I just have to ask, besides your sugar-free challenge, how can people connect with you?
Sure, they can go to Facebook at just Terri Rahman. Yep, and put on videos on there and just informational things. Also, LinkedIn, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or you can go to my website at territotalhealth.com and you can schedule even a complimentary consult with me. I'm happy to do that for your listeners. So yeah, just having a conversation. I think you would even just learn a lot about where to start, because a lot of people just get overwhelmed. And just if you want a little nudge of how to get started, I'd be happy to do that. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Love it. One of the things that I really talk about is that you need to get the right education. And it's clear from what Terri has shared today that how we've been thinking about food, how we've been thinking about our sleep, how we've been taught about exercise, it's really not going to serve us long term. It's causing all these gut health issues. And I'm not going to say we've been lied to. I'm just going to say that a lot of this information and research might not have been available for a very long time. We're just starting to see changes, and people are discovering things. We have better medicine and better scientists and better experiments and testing. We have better technology to be able to really see what's going on, so that the holistic medicine model is now becoming more mainstream than it was before. There was a lot of guesswork. There was a lot of building blocks that had to be created. But now that we have that right education, I just want to let you know that it takes up to 17 years for current research to become common practice. And then on top of that, we have a culture with generations that have been growing up thinking the food pyramid is the way to go, thinking that milk isn't harmful, that sugar isn't really in everything. They don't recognize that everything is turning from carbs to sugar in the body. They don't recognize what this is doing. So when you're going out and getting that education, you really want to go to somebody who has mapped this, And I can say with all the confidence, Terri has mapped this. I would not tell you that Terri has mapped it if it wasn't true. But being with Terri and being her friend for so long now, like we've known each other for quite a few years, we were in the same community for building our coaching practices as well. Like Terri's the real deal. So if you are curious where to get started, you just want to reach out to her. And I also want to remind you that I have my Empowered Mom Toolkit, the Empowered Birth Toolkit, I call it. You go to empoweringmomsbirth.com/toolkit. And if Terri is willing, I mean, maybe she is, or maybe you can go and get it from her directly. But Terri, if you would like to contribute anything into the Empowered Birth Toolkit at any point, just let me know. We can drop that in. As you know, if you're already subscribed to the Empowered Mom newsletter, what I do is I introduce you to my Empowered Mom Circle, which is everybody who's in my network, either in the birth space or holistic medicine, mindset, anyone who really wants to empower you in your empowered motherhood journey. And I also teach on birth because that's my main focus. The Empowered Birth Toolkit, I put resources in, I take them out, and ultimately what you get is a taste of things that you might not otherwise have access to. Now, of course, this toolkit is kind of transformative because it changes. The only thing that stays the same is my birth advocacy report, which once you understand how the medical system operates and where they're coming from in resistance to change, both in your pregnancy and also maybe if your pediatrician isn't aware of the gut health issues and they're recommending something that you now know from what Terri is saying is not optimal, you could change their way of practice so that we can accelerate that change so it's not 17 years before something becomes mainstream. So again, go to empoweringmomsbirth.com/toolkit to get on the newsletter. And if you want to check out Terri, go to territotalhealth.com. Terri, it has been an absolute pleasure learning from you. I mean, we haven't really been able to touch on all of these topics, and my mind is just blown. Like, seriously, you have just blown my mind. I now recognize that those birth control pills were even worse than I thought. And I'm so happy that I got off of them back in 2020. And I'm so happy that I wasn't really on them consistently. And I'm really happy that my salad greens is like, I can have my spring mix and that's already my plant-based stuff. Yay. I'm going to be hitting you up for that recipe for that dressing, by the way.
Okay.
And just thank you. Thank you for coming on. This has been a blast.
Thank you. Thank you, Carly. It was a pleasure to be here. And of course, thank you for your interest in gut health because it's so much a foundation for people's health.
Yes. Well, you have been so passionate about it. And I was very curious because I'd never heard of leaky gut before I got into connection with you. And I was like, what is this thing? But the more you talked about it, the more I got intrigued. And you know me and my rabbit holes. So I'm so happy we were finally able to find a connection between what you are doing and what I'm doing. And I'm like, there's got to be something there. And then we found it. Right. And it's like, yeah, now we can do the interview. So, that's the thing is that when you're having an empowered birth, you're an empowered mom for life. Nobody can take your power away from you again. But also, when you are going through the 5 pillars of empowerment and you're recognizing that everything in life is interconnected with your birth experience, and your birth experience also interconnects to how you parent, how you see yourself, your health, your vitality, your longevity, like all of that is connected. We are not just machines. And the medical system really, it was based on the idea that humans were machines. Now, this came out in the 1800s. We can't make them wrong for it. That's the model that they had. But now that we know better, we can do better. So If you love this, if you have any questions, you can always reach out, hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com, or connect with Terri directly, territotalhealth.com. Go check her out on her Instagram, her Facebook, her LinkedIn. Terri is like the networking queen as well. So if she doesn't know something, she probably knows somebody who does, or knows somebody who knows somebody who does. I mean, she's just a maverick when it comes to connecting with people in the health space. So thank you so much for watching. This has been the Empowered Mom Hour. Keep watching this channel. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Pass it on. Remember, I have 3 paths for working with me. The first is do it yourself. Just keep watching these videos. Watch the interviews. Ask questions. Get the information. I'm putting it out there for free because I really believe you deserve to have that access. If you want something that's more concrete, if you want to be walked through it, then for Sugar-Free Challenge, Terri's teaching that. That is a self-study way of going through the programs. You can also go into Your Empowered Birth Academy, which is my self-study where you get all of my resources, everything that my Empowered Mom Circle contributes as a bonus. You get it all. And finally, the most expensive but fastest path is working with us directly. So working with me as a coach, working with Terri as a gut health coach, I can tell you right now, when you have a coach who truly believes in you, you can transcend things that you didn't think were possible and accelerate at a level that you also did not think is possible. So if you are willing to invest in yourself, then that path is open to you. So happy empowered mom journey. Namaste, and I'll talk to you soon.